Welcome to Quinte Cares on your TV, the show that highlights the good things that are happening in our community. Do you hear it? There's a buzz around town about this young entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Myles Ramsay.
Hello.
We are so excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Myles Ramsay. I'm 17. I'm a local here in Belleville, and I started a company called BuzzBox Fun Kits for Kids in the summer of 2020.
That sounds terrific. And was it something that came out of COVID-19? You were just in your basement and came up with this idea?
Yeah, so it was the beginning of COVID, and I was looking for something to do, right? Because I was pretty bored just in a lockdown. And I decided it would be a good opportunity to try and fix a problem in the community and also make some money while doing it and learn some stuff along the way.
Great. And tell us about your BuzzBox Fun Kits. What are they all about?
So they're, as it says in the title, fun kits for kids. And basically, they provide a couple hours of fun to give parents a break from their kids and to let kids unplug from all the technology that they're using, especially in virtual school and things like that.
And certainly that's been a trend this year, going virtual, students at home with a lot of time on their hands. So what kind of activities are included in the Fun Kit?
Well, each box or funvelope that we have now have a specific theme. And in each of the themes, there will be specific items that pertain to the theme. So for example, in our Rainbow Dreamers box, we have a pencil case that says Dream Big and certain things like that that go along with each theme.
So a little bit of inspiration as well for those at home.
Exactly.
So I read online that there's some things that included in the box, such as crafts, various activities.
Yeah, so in each box we try to make it so that they can have a hands-on piece where there's mostly always a craft. And then there's also stuff that comes ready-made so that they can just play with it right when they get their box.
And how did you come up with these concepts? How do you decide what themes will be included in the boxes?
Well, we usually have brainstorming sessions, and seeing as I'm just past the age, like 17, right? So the boxes are from ages 4 to 10, right? So I kind of know what in a couple of years ago I would have liked to have, right? So I kind of play off of that, and then I just research different things about trends and different stuff like that, and then we usually have brainstorming sessions, which we can use to come up with the different names and different themes, and then we work towards getting items that can go inside a box that go with that theme.
And where do you find the items? Where do you source those?
So we use Canadian wholesalers to get most of our items, and we search on the websites and make sure that we can have stuff that goes with each of the themes so that we have enough.
We're joined now by Myles' mother, Carrie Ramsay. Welcome, Carrie.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, how did you feel when Myles first approached you with this idea about doing something for our community with the BuzzBox Fun Kit?
Well, as any parent during this time, it has, we've had a big concern for our teenagers and our kids who were thrust into virtual learning. At that particular moment, it was May and June, and the lockdown had just begun. So we didn't really know what the future held. So frankly, we welcomed the distraction for him to think about something other than, the mayhem that was going on in the world around us. And so as parents as well, it was great. It was great for our family just to focus on something other than the negative news. And so, yeah, it was very exciting to see that he had an idea that we could help him with.
And did you help him with the setup of the website and sourcing some of the materials as well?
Yeah, the great news is that today people could start businesses from their own home. So whether you're 17 or 77, really, it's not too difficult. But of course, as a parent, I had a credit card and he didn't. As a 16-year-old, when he started, he was 16. So I assisted him by, helping to set up a website, which anyone could do for free. But then he purchased the domain name, BuzzBoxFunKits.com, which took a payment, and so we had to do that with a credit card. So those are things that teenagers might not be able to do on their own. And when it came to ordering the supplies, which, we could see on the website, of course, again, somebody over 18 had to do that type of ordering. So that was important that a parent be involved. Initially, he also didn't have his driver's license. So thankfully, in the last year, he has actually a driver's license despite the challenges of COVID-19. And so now he is able to deliver all across our region himself. So whether we go along for the ride or not, he's able to do that on his own.
And I'm sure, Myles, that the children that you're delivering to must be so excited to be receiving this BuzzBox Fun Kit.
Yeah, that's really why we do it. It was really to solve a problem, and we saw a need. We saw kids were kind of bored around our neighborhood, first of all, and we saw them just kind of wandering around in COVID times. And so we decided we could fix the problem while starting a business and learning some things about business. But the main reason is to see that smile on the kid's face when they get their BuzzBox.
Welcome back to Quinte Cares. Our next guest has cycled from sea to sea and is really the voice of inclusion for our community. Nick Foley, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Sandy. I'm really humbled and grateful to be here.
Thank you. And when we were talking earlier, I learned that you live by two values, family and inclusion. Can you comment on that for us?
Yes, of course. I think that one of the things that I realized about 5 years ago is that I really needed to lean into what my values were. I kind of subscribed to the notion of 5 or 6 or 7 things that were that I kind of lived by as things in my life that I thought were using as guiding principles. And I figured what I decided to do is I wanted to focus on 2 values that will encompass any decision that I make in my life. And so after some reflection and going through the process, it came down to 2 things: family, and what that encompasses is like love and relationships and community and things like that, and inclusion, and that is acceptance and also community and allowing people to become who they are and allow that to come out in how they live. And I feel that those are my 2 values and guiding principles that I could focus on. I got it down to those 2 things. And for me, every decision that I make is ran through the cycle of, does it fit my values? And, coming down even to an interview like this, to, a business endeavor or a speech that I have to give or an initiative that I want to start, I bring it down to 2 things. Does it hit the values of inclusion and family, or it's one or the other? And if it doesn't, then it's a no. And if it does, then it's a resounding yes. So that's kind of the principle I try to live by.
Well, and you were certainly ahead of today's values when we're talking about inclusion, diversity, equity. These are really buzzwords that we hear a lot about today. But I know about 6 years ago, you started a journey. Can you tell us about that, please?
Sure, yeah. So 6 years ago, I started, just had the anniversary of that on April 22nd. I decided that I wanted to ride my bike across the country from Victoria, BC to St. John's, Newfoundland, in the name of inclusion. Our young daughter, who was born a few years earlier, was born and then identified shortly after with a condition known as Down syndrome. And it was really important for my wife and I and our family to kind of have that voice of inclusion and acceptance of all people. And even though I felt like in 2015, when this ride took place, that the world was a pretty inclusive place in some capacities, that there was always room for improvement. And I wanted to, kind of use that as a foundation, or as a foundation to start a nonprofit that we started, Move for Inclusion. And so I was able to surround myself with some wonderful people. We started on April 22nd, 2015, and traveled across the country and got done in July 27th, after 95 days on the bike. Who's counting? But I was. But yeah, a friend of mine, Darren Moore, who worked as the support vehicle and support person. We rode across, and I was really excited to get that done and to do it.
And I understand that you started in Victoria, BC, and drove right across to St. John's, Newfoundland. Yeah,
we did. It was, we started, it was a beautiful day. I'll never forget the day. Beautiful day in Victoria, BC. We started around 6:37 in the morning. And we took us right across to St. John's. And we ended up finishing up at St. John's, Newfoundland on Saturday afternoon. So it was great. We had a lot of friends and family there. And I was just so, so humbled and grateful that we were able to do the two things that we wanted to do. And one was get across safely. And two was to make sure that we did our part to speak about inclusion and raise money and keep that money, nationally and help the, different foundations and charities that we're doing good work for.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure that you've met so many interesting people in your travels. Do you have some highlights that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think for me, we were just, like I said earlier, I mean, I use the word humbled a lot because of the amount of people that came across our, in our national community. I'll give you an example. I was just outside Brooks, Alberta, just a little bit outside of Calgary, and we're cycling through, and I did a speech. And I remember this young man came up to me, and that was the whole idea, was to cycle, but also stop and do speeches and talk about inclusion and things like that. I remember this young man came up to me, and he said he enjoyed the speech, and we were having a conversation. And he said, I want to do something. I want to help. And I said, oh, okay. And he gave me this, I'll never forget. He gave me $1.55. And he's like, this is the money that I have in my pocket. He's like, I want it to go to inclusion. And I remember taking that and just being like, thank you. You have no idea the indelible mark this is going to leave on me, right? Like, and the fact is we actually held on to that. It was interesting because I went back and Darren said, what was that young man telling you about? And I told him that, he gave me $1.55. He's like, well, give it to me so I make sure that it's counted. And I said, well, here's a toonie. I'll keep the $1.55 because I actually have it in my office in Belleville. And I look at it a lot because what it does is it serves as a metaphor for being able to, give back. And it doesn't matter how much. What matters is that you're doing it. It's the act. And we were fortunate to raise tens of thousands of dollars and had amazing donors from across the country. And the one that I talk about the most is this young man from Brooks, Alberta, who gave us $1.55, and that just shows me like, people are just capable of inspiring in so many ways. And we were just so inspired by that young man and his gesture.